The NFL Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Hall of Fame Bets. Hall of Fame Bets is the sports betting research platform for parlays, player props, and game lines. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com. Use code SGPN to get 50% off in your first month and start making smarter bets today. We're also brought to you by the SGPN app. SGPN app is completely free to download and home to all your favorite SGPN podcast contests and picks. Just type in SGPN in your app store today and download America's #1 DGen app. Yes, sir. We're back with another edition of the NFL Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. Know me, know the voice, know the guy. It's me, really real, villain real, Terrell Furman Jr. here at your service. And they gave us a doozy this week. Oh, we have a doozy for the games this week. Scott Studio Reichel with me to break down the evening slate of games here on the East Coast in the NFL on Sunday. Scott Studio Reichel. Scott, what's going on?
Scotty, beat me up.
Surprise.
Yeah, doing pretty well. Can't complain. Only 4 games in this slate, but pretty good games in general. So looking forward to breaking them down.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't want to waste any time because we have one of my all-time favorite matches to play against. The San Francisco 49ers on the road, traveling to play the Arizona Cardinals in Arizona. San Francisco opened up -7. They are all the way up to -12.5. 47.5 is total here. Well, Scott. We have another situation where we have Kyle Shanahan laying double digits.
Did they cover last week? Like, I don't know how to grade last week.
No, they didn't cover.
Because they covered initially, but then Drew Lock was ruled the starter and the line went up like 2 points. So it kind of depends on how you're grading it.
No, they didn't cover. No, they didn't cover because
they didn't cover the closing line. So
no, yeah, the initial line doesn't matter because we know injuries will change a line. So the line finished 15. They did not cover 15. And if you look at their past 5 games, if you look at San Francisco's past 5 games, they did not cover 15. They covered 3 against the Eagles. They cover 7 against the Seattle Seahawks. They do not cover 13.5 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they covered 3 against the Jags. It's very simple. They're not built. Shanahan doesn't care enough to cover this. He doesn't care enough.
Cardinals are also off a bye, so they had extra prep time for the game. Their season's basically over anyway, but they're playing for pride at this point. The Cardinals, do you think that the Niners are already going to be looking ahead to future games, or do you think that they just have the division potentially wrapped up with a bow, but they can end it? So what do you think? Do you think they actually care, or do you think that the Cardinals are just able to hang around, probably lose, but by 10, give or take?
I mean, I know for a fact that they're not losing by this number. I know it's not going to be this number. Like I know that you just sit here and look at the numbers of Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan, when he's a road favorite of 7 or more, he is 2-7 against the spread. It gets even worse when we talk about double digits. He hasn't covered a double-digit spread this season. Only time he's covered on the road this season, laying more than a touchdown, was when he played Seattle on Thanksgiving, and we both were on the right side of that one. But I mean, there's literally no situation ever that I ever feel comfortable laying this many points with Kyle Shanahan, seeing how his team is very dominant. They're clearly the best team on the field, but they never get up for numbers like this. They never get up for spreads like this. They rarely ever cover it. You look at the Arizona Cardinals, and I mean, pride is literally the only thing on the line here. And you got to figure out, okay, what's the future of this team? Is Kyler Murray the future of this team? Kyler Murray's come back, and they won that game against Pittsburgh, and that's it. So it's like, is Kyler Murray the future of the team? Are you trying to go a different direction? Is Jonathan Gannon going to carry you? Are you going to go a different direction at coach as well? Like, what all are you going to do if you're the Arizona Cardinals? You got to kind of figure that stuff out. And you're playing a division rival. You get up for this game. I feel like if they tank any other game, it would be anything else but this game.
You have any thoughts on the total?
47.5. I kind of like the over if Arizona is able to get this done, and that's just the fact of Kyler Murray making big plays. We've seen if you looked at the last time out when they played this Arizona team, Hollywood Brown and what's my other guy's name again?
Wilson?
Dang, yeah, was it Michael Wilson?
Yeah. I haven't really heard
Yeah,
much from him recently, but
but both of them had really big games, and Josh Dobbs was at quarterback.
the only
So,
concern I have with the Cardinals, though, is that Hollywood Brown's been questionable all week. He hasn't really practiced at all, so I'm not sure if he's going to play or not. So keep an eye out for Hollywood Brown. Assuming
mhm,
he plays, you are getting a division rival off a bye, getting double digits at home. It's a lot of points.
it's pretty easy. It's a pretty easy handicap here. We just it looks ugly and it looks disgusting. You probably look at the Arizona Cardinals at 3-13 and say, I don't want to take them. You take the Cardinals here.
I do like the under in the game, though. I think the Niners' defense is going to be able to keep Kyler somewhat in check. But I do think Arizona's defense might have a decent game plan in store. We'll see what happens. But I do think this total's a bit high for me. I'm going to lean to the under in this spot.
Hmm. Okay. All right. And that yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. That's all right. Well, I like the over, but I get what you're saying there. Okay. Let's see here. Any player props? Anything kind of stick out player prop wise? For me, I mean, everybody's been talking a lot about Brock Purdy recently. And I know he hears it. I know he hears it. Cam went out, and Cam, like, granted, I don't think I 100% agree with the verbiage that Cam said, but I get what Cam was saying. Like, Brock Purdy's not that guy that you're going to put the game on his shoulders and he's going to go out there and win you a game. But it's not like he's doing nothing. Like, he's not turning the ball over. Like, he's playing good. He's completing the ball. He's not turning the ball over. He's doing literally everything asked of him. But is he like Cam, where Cam had to literally go out there and put the team on his back and go win the game? No. So we're not going to put him in that category. My question for you is Brock Purdy a viable MVP candidate?
I don't think he should be. I acknowledge he's had a very good year. I don't think he's even the best MVP candidate on his own team. If you're asking me who I think is more valuable to his own team, I'm taking McCaffrey. I think
Mhm,
McCaffrey has been a dominant player. He's the best player at his position. And I do think even though Purdy has had a very good year, don't get me wrong, and yes, he does occasionally hit big plays down the field, a lot of it's yards after catch. And we've seen
mhm,
it the last couple of weeks, whether it involved Kittle, Debo has been the main reason for that. But I do think Purdy has had a great year. I think he's an MVP candidate because of him being Mr. Irrelevant and because of the story behind it, where they kind of want to just give it to him because of the just improbability of him even being
mhm,
this good at this point. But do I think he should be MVP over Dak or even Tyreek Hill or McCaffrey or Lamar? Lamar maybe, because Lamar's stats aren't that great. He should be behind Dak and Hurts at the quarterback position, as far as I'm concerned. You?
mm. I actually have it switched. I think he should be behind Lamar and not Hurts.
I don't think
Hurts
Lamar's numbers
Hurts
are good
is
enough.
Hurts really isn't impressive to me. Like, he really hasn't had an impressive season to
You
me.
can
He's
argue that
got
Hurts and
way too
Lamar
many
are the
turnovers.
opposite because Lamar hasn't been impressive, but his stats aren't that great because they run the ball with Gus Edwards every time on the goal line, where the Eagles are the opposite, where Hurts' numbers are good because he gets the rushing touchdown at the goal line every time. So you can argue that him and Lamar are kind of the opposite when it comes to stats, where Hurts' stats suggest he might be better than he actually is, and Lamar's stats suggest that he's worse than he actually is. But if you watch the games, you know Lamar is still a very solid player, and Jalen Hurts is, I don't want to say stat padding, but a lot of the touchdowns he has are because of the unstoppable tush push, right? Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I mean, he's like top 3 in the league in turnovers or something like that. In interceptions, he's like top 5 in the league in
I
interceptions.
think he has 15 on the
He has
season.
like 10 interceptions on the year.
Yeah.
It's Josh Allen that is leading the league. Josh Allen and I believe Sam Howell both tied for the league in interceptions. Yeah, just to go ahead, and what I was getting at is I'm taking Brock Purdy over 250 and 251 and a half passing yards. I think that this is, like I said, I think this is going to be a little bit more of a high scoring game. I think that the yards after the catch is really the big reason of why I'm just backing Brock Purdy. It's not really him, but it's the fact that he consistently gets the ball to his playmakers. And I think that's something he's going to have to do in this game because they're going to be in a dogfight. So giving Brock Purdy over 251 and a half, I think 270, 275 is a little bit closer to where he's at. Not exactly 300, but almost there.
Yeah, I'm just going to go back to Debo in this one. Debo, when healthy, we know how great he can be. The problem is the words when healthy because he's injured all the time. But when he's on the field, he's great. And we've seen him dominate the last two games in particular. Eagles couldn't catch him at all. Last week we saw the same thing. I was wondering if I should focus more on Debo or Ayuk, but I do think that Debo can give you a little bit more opportunity to generate the massive, massive play because he can also take the short pass and go to the crib, while Ayuk is mostly a deep route receiver. So I'm going to go with Debo to have a massive game. I think he might break 100, maybe a touchdown in the spot, but I am going to go with Debo to have a pretty big game.
BetterHelp Fantasy has multiple ways you can play alongside your favorite fantasy players in the NFL, NBA, NHL, college basketball, college football. Simply just pick higher or lower your fantasy players' fantasy stats, and you can cash in. I just told you Brock Purdy fit over 51.5 passing yards. Higher 51.5 passing yards. You can get that on Underdog. Higher 51.5 passing yards for Brock Purdy in this game. Debo Samuel, you can get that as well. Underdog Fantasy. We have a Debo Samuel higher. Where is my boy Debo at? Higher 58.5 receiving yards. Like, you have these options. Make sure you do it. Brandon Ayuk, his touchdown is spicy at 1.25x. Be able to get a little bit of a multiplier there if you like Brandon Ayuk and not Debo Samuel. When you sign up with promo code SGPN, Underdog will double your first deposit up to $100. That's Underdog Fantasy, promo code SGPN. All right, that one I think is going to be a fun one. This one, I'm not necessarily certain. I'm interested to hear what you say because you are an enthusiast for teams coming off of a bye. And we got a team coming off a bye. But it's the Washington Commanders on the road going to play the Los Angeles Rams. Interested to see how many Commanders fans make the trip to this game. The Rams are laying 6.5 in this game. 50.5 is the total. Is this Rams team? I get the Commanders are bad. I get they're a horrible organization. It looks really, really bad. All this bad things going on in Washington right now. When you talk about ownership and change of ownership and new ownership not really knowing what they're doing, and Ron Rivera, and he needs to be fired, and then Bieniemy, and some people just hate Bieniemy for no reason. Sam Howell's up and down. His team's Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. The defense isn't that good. They did a fire sale. All of these things going bad for the Commanders. But are the Los Angeles Rams good enough to legitly be laying 6.5 here?
I don't think the Rams are the most talented team in the world all around, but I can't ignore the results. They've been good lately. And even the loss last week, going to overtime against Baltimore and losing via punt return in overtime is not a bad loss. In fact, you can argue it's a good loss because they went into a hostile environment and kind of proved they might be more for real than I thought they were going to be. Do I think that they're a great team? No, I didn't say that, but I do think they're good enough to maybe sneak into a wild card spot. I understand the Rams will be a popular pick, and I know that I tend to back teams off the bye, but I don't know if the bye matters when I don't think anybody on the roster respects the coach anymore. I think Rivera's lost the locker room. I think he did a couple of months ago. I don't see that changing. They fired the D coordinator. Did that change anything? Not really. So I don't really see anything changing here. I'm going to fade the Commanders because I don't trust this team. And even though Stafford, we know, can be turnover prone, this Commanders pass defense is atrocious. Now you have to deal with Nakua and Kupp, not an ideal matchup for the Commanders. And we said before, Howell throws interceptions all the time. So I do expect the Rams to win the turnover battle. I think the Rams defense is better than this Commanders team. I'm going to take the Rams minus 6.5. I know that it might be a popular play, but I told myself I will not back Ron Rivera as long as he's still the head coach. I think the team's quit on him. So I'm going to go with the Rams. Do you think the team's quit on Rivera?
Yeah. But just because the team quit don't mean it. I mean, I've seen teams quit and win games. I guess we just trust Sean McVay, man. I think that's really it.
I trust him more than Rivera.
Let's see here. Trying to do some math here real quick. Okay, there it goes. So we have, that's respectable. Nothing big. Sean McVay laying over a touchdown, 18-14-1, 56.3%. Sis Rams. It's really nothing against Ron. It's really not Ron Rivera. It's more of Eric Bieniemy. And the fact of when this offense is clicking, they can score with anybody. And we've seen that over the course of the season. Now, the hard part is that it's not too many times you get that. Look at the last 3 games. 15 against Miami, 10 against Dallas, 19 against the Giants. Then you have that random 26. I mean, it was 29-26, but it felt like it was so much more offense and points scored than the score allowed in that Seattle game. You have multiple games all season where you sit here and you look at them where, I mean, this team gets up. They're what, 5-3-1 as a dog this season, 5-2 on the road. Like, this seems like that ugly spot. And it's pretty much similar to that Seattle game, honestly. That ugly spot where this Commanders team just finds a way to cover the game. I,
I'm not saying the Rams are going to blow them out entirely, but I think they win by at least a touchdown. At least I just don't trust the Commanders to play good enough defense and to win the turnover battle. And I think that's what it's going to come down to.
This is a system play, by the way, just so you know.
I'm not dismissing the Commanders' offense with the enemy.
No.
I'm just
letting. No, I was just letting you know if you didn't know, like the system. This is. I'm looking. I'm looking at who's on the Rams in this game, and it is a system play. I'll back you with the Rams. I don't like it, and I think it's a decent possibility that Washington shows up randomly for this game because this is a lot of points for this Rams team. But I mean, I'll roll with it. I guess Washington really sucks, and I really do believe the team has quit on them. I don't think just because the team quit on Ron Rivera means the offense quit on Eric Bieniemy, and that's what I'm afraid of.
That's fair. I like the over in the game anyway. I have such little faith in the Commanders to get stops defensively. That's kind of my point.
Yeah, I'll take the 6.5. I'll lay the 6.5. I'll lay the 6.5. But I don't like it. I'm not betting this. I like the over though. I love the over. I think that there's going to be points because I think the offense is Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde of this offense, and they just get up. Sam Howell, you'll see him get sacked like 10 times in a game and have 3 turnovers, and then look up and he's got 350 passing yards and 3 touchdowns. Like, yeah, I'm the over is the best play in the game. Over 50.5 by far. All right. I mean, have fun with your SGP in this game. Have fun with your touchdown SGP in this game for sure. Before we talk about the next game, and the next 2 are doozies. Like, really, it's just that one that was really lackadaisical. The other games pretty good on the slate. But before we talk about that, we're going to talk about Hall of Fame bets because Hall of Fame bets has this parlay optimizer tool where, man, you know what? I got cute. I used the parlay optimizer tool. It gave me a great parlay. I put the parlay in, and then I added an extra leg on my own. And what happened? Extra leg didn't hit. So hurt about that. I should have just stuck to the plan. Parlay optimizer tool, Hall of Fame bets, data, green, and I can cash, but I got a little too cute. Not doing it again. Use that promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month. Download the Hall of Fame Bets app or visit HOFBets.com. Again, promo code SGPN to get 50% off your first month. Start making smarter bets today. All right. The Dallas Cowboys traveling on the road after defeating the Philadelphia Eagles. And I still don't even think they're first place in the NFC. However, they're traveling on the road in a non-conference road spot to go play the Buffalo Bills. Buffalo Bills open up as a 4-point favorite, it looks like. They are down to 2. 50.5 is total here.
What are your thoughts on the Buffalo win? Just to ask. Are you impressed that they beat the Chiefs? Because I know you like the Chiefs in that game. Season. I know, but it was also pretty fortunate they won the game, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
So, were you impressed?
But I don't think it's like I don't think it's fortunate. I don't think it's fortunate like they played bad. They didn't play bad. It wasn't fortunate they played bad. It was just fortunate that the call went their way. And, the result of that play was the fact that there was a touchdown on the board. So, I mean, yeah, they're fortunate to win the game. But even if they lost the game, I probably would have came up here and said they played good because they did. And it took a crazy Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce play to score the touchdown and win the game. So I was impressed with what they did.
Okay.
Give me
the impressed with what Dallas did last week?
Yeah, because I didn't think it was going to be a 20-point win. So, yeah, I guess I'm impressed with what Dallas did. But this just is 3 straight home games for Dallas. Now you're going on the road, non-conference road spot, up in Buffalo, cold weather, big game. It just feels like this. And you just beat the Eagles. Like, It feels like this is the sleepy spot Dallas loses. And you're going to Miami. I know you're looking forward to Christmas in Florida. No, you're looking ahead to that. But this Buffalo team, I think that the pass rush has been playing decent enough where they can be able to get Dak Prescott, force Dak Prescott off his spot, and not to be as comfortable in the pocket. That's where Dak has really been really, really good this year, is because he's been really, really comfortable in the pocket, been able to make really smart reads. And I'll give Dak that much. Like, he looks very, very good in the pocket. But I think Buffalo can create some havoc here and be able to get Dak off his spot, get him on the move, get him uncomfortable, put him in tougher situations to try to move the ball on offense. And then, honestly, truly, I just gotta just hope Josh Allen doesn't give them the game by throwing 3 turnovers. He could throw 1 pick and they can win. He can't throw 2, 3 and they win. So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Buffalo as well in this spot. I think it's a pretty rough scheduling spot for Dallas. I don't want to say you had your Super Bowl, but you had close to it because you won a must-win game against Philly. Now you're traveling on the road. Should be about 36 degrees in Buffalo. And you're a dome team traveling to the East Coast in the middle of December, which tends to not be a great spot for those teams. Cowboys are also 10-3 this season, but they are 3-3 on the road straight up. So they're not exactly a good road team. We saw them lose to the Cardinals, for example, on the road earlier this season. Buffalo, though, is 7-6. They are 5-2 at home. Should be 6-1, but they 2-0 on the field for that missed field goal by Denver. So they have been a good home team. It was a nice win they needed against Kansas City. They were fortunate to get the job done in the end, but that doesn't matter. It's football. You're going to get some breaks that go your way and go against you. But I like Buffalo in the spot. I think it is pretty telling that the 10-3 team is a dog to a 7-6 team. I'm going to go with the 7-6 team here. Give me the -2.
Yeah. Right. 50.5.
I kind of like the under, but I don't feel great about the total in this game.
Give me Buffalo team total over.
Okay.
I don't think this Dallas defense is ready.
I think Dak's going to struggle on the road in the cold. So I think this offense might seem a little bit flat early on. Buffalo
or
can
is the
generate
Dallas
big
team total
plays.
under?
I was going to say, Buffalo can generate big plays, but we know Allen can make mistakes. And the Cowboys defense does give up some big plays. Even the Eagles game last week, the Eagles moved the ball well. They just kept turning it over in plus territory. So I think Buffalo moved it pretty well. I have questions about Dallas in the cold, especially outdoors. So I don't mind the Cowboys team total under in this game. And Buffalo can generate a lot of pressure just sending 4, which is important.
It's probably a big Gabe Davis game.
It's either him or Diggs, or both. So
both, yeah. But I think I could get behind Gabe Davis having a big game in this one. This feels like a random, like that random 100-yard touchdown, 100-yard, close to 100-yard, 2 touchdown. Really that's really all he's done this season. He's had a bunch of random close to 100, if not 100-yard games and a touchdown. Like, that's really all he's done this season, or he's done nothing at all. So, yeah, let's just go ahead and say it's a random Gabe Davis game. I like that. Because Dallas does give up big plays. Last game of the slate, Sunday Night Football. Baltimore Ravens going into Jacksonville, laying 3. 42.5 is total. Lamar's my guy. I understand Lamar is my guy. I understand I think I've been ranking this Ravens team the highest of our NFL rankings for literally the entire season. I don't think they've fallen. If they've fallen outside of my top 5, I think it was like for a week, maybe 2 weeks, and then they've been in the top 5 all year. And I'm pretty sure everybody else has them closer to 7, 8. I know Cam Kerr, unbiased Steelers fan, said that this Baltimore team is nowhere close to being good at all whatsoever. So, but I don't know. It's something about Doug P. Scott, when I tell you every situation that I bet a game like this, where it's a good team going in Jacksonville, laying a small number, that I'm like, this team, they're giving Jacksonville too much respect. They're not good enough to play with this team. I always lose. I fade the Jags and I continue to lose. There's one time that I faded the Jags in a spot like that and it worked. And that's earlier this season when Kansas City came to town and they almost lost that one. I think I'm taking the Jags +3 here.
I think I'm going to take the Ravens, but I don't feel great about it. I will give Lawrence props. He looked better than I thought he ever would look right after the injury against Cleveland.
Mhm.
He looked fine last week for the most part. Wasn't 100%, but he looked better than I thought he was going to.
Why they lost,
The
it wasn't his fault.
Ravens, yeah, that's true. But Jacksonville eventually lost the game. Happens. Cleveland's a tough place to play. The concern that I have is that Joe Flacco and every decent quarterback has torched this pass defense all season long. And Zay Flowers been good lately. Odell's been really good lately. There's a lot of
Mhm.
weapons that the Ravens can thrive with, even with Mark Andrews being out. Likely's done a good job. He had the freest touchdown imaginable last week against the Rams. But I do like the overall receiving core for the Ravens in this spot. A lot of shifty receivers that can give these corners problems. Lamar's trying to, I don't want to say get back into the MVP race, but I feel like people are starting to forget about him, and he might want to put
Mhm.
his name back in the full running like we saw last week against the Rams. Do I think
Yeah.
the Ravens are a great team? In most years, probably not. This year, maybe, because this year is a lot more open than we've seen in years past. The Jaguars, I don't know how good this team actually is because offensively, this team has weapons, but Kirk's
Mhm.
now injured. Lawrence has been playing through an injury for a week or so. That's not going to get better anytime soon. It looked pretty rough. And they can't stop the pass. Plus, Jacksonville this season, despite it being a tough place to play, the Jaguars are 3-4 straight up at home. They've really not
Mhm.
been a good home team all season long. I do think the Ravens, who have been pretty solid on the road, have enough firepower to get it done. The defense should be motivated to get back on track after not looking that sharp against Stafford last week. But I do think the Jaguars are a team that is fine, but I don't think that they're the same level as the Ravens. Even if I think the Ravens might be a little bit overrated, give me the better
Mhm.
team against a really bad pass defense of -3.5.
All right, you saw me back on Ravens. I just feel like, oh my
I
gosh,
think there's a
if
tier
I lose
system with these.
another spot,
I think
like
there's a tier system with these teams. Baltimore's in the top tier, and Jacksonville's in the maybe they'll win a playoff round tier.
I think my issue is that the past 2 weeks against the is it 2 weeks? I guess a little bit more than 2 weeks, whatever. But the past two games against the LA teams, it's looked like Baltimore should probably have lost the game. And they found ways to win. And I mean, credit to them. They continue to find ways to win.
I think the concern I have with Cleveland though is that they gave up 600 plus passing yards to Flacco and Jake Browning, and now you face Lamar.
Yeah, Jacksonville,
That pass
they
defense is
definitely did.
abysmal.
Lamar really the thing is Lamar really needs this game for the MVP push, man.
I think he might put up a massive stat line. It wouldn't shock me, especially since Jacksonville once again. I don't want to say you can abandon the run against, but why would you not just want to throw it all over the parking lot against this team? Once again,
Like if
Browning
he
went for 350. Flacco went for like 310. He was on the couch 2 weeks ago. It just feels like it's a great spot for Lamar to kind of put the team on his back and they'll win the game and score a decent amount of points.
My only fear is that of the 3 games Baltimore has left, Jacksonville, at San Francisco, home to Miami. Of those 3 games, this is the least important.
You can argue that whole division, though, is an absolute crapshoot, so every game's kind of important until they clinch the division. The 1 seed's
Yeah,
also up for grabs, too, because the Chiefs have been underachieving, and they're in the driver's seat.
but if you would look past any of these teams, you're looking past Jacksonville before you look past San Francisco, before you look past Miami.
Yeah.
Like that's my only fear because I think if Lamar can run this table, he's MVP. If he runs this table right here, he's MVP by far.
I think it depends how Dak and the Cowboys do. We think they're going to struggle a bit down the stretch
I don't
because their
know, man. If
schedules.
if Lamar, how do you make Dak MVP and Lamar goes in here into San Francisco and gets a win?
I think because you're factoring in the wins and losses, and I don't think that matters because Lamar's numbers are just worse than Dak's. I think by season's end, the Ravens didn't do a good enough job of padding Lamar's numbers. I know that that's not what the MVP should be focused on. It should be focused on winning. But in reality, everyone compares stats. You line them up, and Lamar's stats this
But
year
you
are not
can't
great.
compare Lamar's stats to other quarterbacks because Lamar is not other quarterbacks. Like we already know that Lamar is going to get like his passing numbers are not going to be the same as Dak's.
Yeah,
They're
and his
not.
rushing numbers are worse than Jalen Hurts. That's my point. It's because the Ravens don't pad his numbers, which I think is going to come back to bite them. It won't because they're winning games, but for the MVP award, I think it matters. Plus, Lamar already won one. I think that's going to work against him in this spot. They might try to give it to a new guy. I understand your argument. If Lamar balls out, they don't just win, because winning's one thing. If they win and Lamar has 3 straight master classes, then maybe he'll win the award. But I do think if the Cowboys don't fully implode and if the Niners don't fully implode, I don't see Lamar winning the award for the second time in his
Jalen
career.
Jalen Hurts has 460 rushing yards this season. Lamar has 644.
Yeah, but what's the rushing touchdowns?
Lamar
It's extremely
has
padded for Jalen Hurts, but it's not even close.
well, yeah, but Jalen. We understand why Jalen Hurts rushing touchdowns are
That's my
padded, but
point.
Jalen Hurts has 12 rushing touchdowns this season, and Lamar has 5.
My point is you're adding context to the stats, and a lot of people aren't going to focus on the context. They're just going to focus on the stats. So I think that's
Yeah,
going to
but
work against Lamar.
I'm saying if Lamar is a 3,000-yard passer, which he is, and he's a close to 1,000-yard rusher,
Does
that's pretty
3,000
much what he.
passing mean anything anymore? Now that you have an extra
Yeah,
game and people go over 5,000, I don't know if 3,000 means
yeah,
anything
because he's
anymore.
at 3,000 now, and he's got 3 games left, so he's gonna be damn near at
4,000's,
4.
I think 4,000's big. 3,000, I don't know. 3,500. Let's say 3,500.
He's got 3 games left.
Yeah.
So
I'm
he's at
saying by
3,000
season's end, if
already.
he has 4,000 and they win out and some things happen, number 1 seed in the AFC, then maybe.
He's 200 yards behind. He's 200 passing yards behind Jalen Hurts.
Okay.
I don't know, bro. I think he
I'm not
has a good
eliminating
game.
him entirely, but I'm saying right now he's probably 4th or 5th on most people's ballots, in my opinion.
I think he's above Jalen Hurts.
I think most people would disagree.
I think he's been, but it's the interceptions. Jalen Hurts has 10 interceptions on the season. I can read off everybody that has double-digit interceptions this season. Josh Allen and Sam Howell at 14. Mac Jones is 12. Patrick Mahomes at 11. Jordan Love at 11. Josh Dobbs at 10. Jared Goff at 10. Hurts at 10. Tua at 10. Trevor Lawrence at 10.
I get what you're saying. I'm just saying I think most people would put Hurts ahead of Lamar Jackson if you gave them a vote right now.
I think that they might have did that before Jalen Hurts lost these 2 games in a row. I think he's fallen.
Okay. I think he's fallen too. I think he used to be top 2, 3. I think now he's closer to 4 or 5. So we'll see.
I think they flip. Oh. And wins matter. I mean, at the end of the day, wins do matter.
I'm picking Lamar to have a monster game in this. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm like, yo, he puts up 300 yards passing here, and then he has a solid day. Like his numbers are going to be comparable by the end of the season to everybody else.
And for the updated AFC standings, by the way, they're 1 up on Miami, 2 up on Kansas City.
Yeah.
So
these games, yeah, I'm with you. All right, I'll go with the Ravens.
I'm going to lean to the over in this game. The Ravens defense, they got torched by Stafford last week. I'm going to pause a little bit on how dominant this defense is. I know Jacksonville can't stop anybody through the air. I'm on the over. I think this total's too low. I mean, they gave up 34 to Jake Browning, 31 regulation, but still. You're telling me the Ravens can't get to 28, can't get to 30 in this game? I think they can. I'm on the over. You have any thoughts on the total?
It's Sunday Night Football, man. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing.
It just feels like such a low
I'm not
total
getting
for
cute.
quarterbacks.
Yeah, I get it. It does, but I'm just not going to get cute. I'm just keep doing my system play and just beat up units at the end of the year.
Okay, that's fine.
All right. Lock, dog, underdog. For my lock, give me Arizona plus 12. Kyle Shanahan nerfs up these spreads. He nerfs up these spreads. He doesn't care. He doesn't care, and Arizona's going to get up for this game. I'll take Arizona plus 12 for my dog. Oh, I guess I really don't have a dog, so I got to find a player prop. Do
you want to go Lamar 300? Lamar 275? Some alt passing yards on Lamar?
I don't know if I want the alt passing yards or if I want something else. Matter of fact, let's just go. I'm going to go for a touchdown scorer. As I look up the price on him, and I talked about it earlier, I feel like I'm just shooting my shot because I think that it's going to be it's a chance for a lot of points. Very high total in that Buffalo game, 50.5. And Dallas does give up big plays, and Gabe Davis is Mr. I'm either going to get a big play or I'm not going to be here at all. So, you know what? In a 50-50 chance in a game with a high total and a team that gives up big plays, I'll take Gabe Davis at plus 170 to score a touchdown.
All right. So I think I am going to go with the alt passing yards, but I do want to quickly see if I can find a better price. For my lock on the show, I think I'm just going to go back to the over in the Commanders and the Rams game. I just see points, simply put. The Rams defense, I'm really not impressed with. I know that they've been finding ways to get by, but if you watch this unit play, it's really not great. And I do think that Howell and the Commanders offense is good enough post-bye to generate maybe 20 plus points in this game. The Rams might score 34. Maybe they'll score 40. We'll see what happens. But this offense had 31 points against the Ravens defense, which is very impressive. But Kupp's healthy. Nakua's healthy. Stafford's healthy, which is a big deal. Kyron Williams is healthy. They have a very solid overall balance offensively. And the Commanders' defense is atrocious. So for me, I'm going to go with the over 50.5 as my lock on the show. For my dog, I am going to go back to the passing yards in this Ravens and Jaguars matchup. I feel like I have to. Once again, if you're going to give up 300 plus passing yards to Flacco and Jake Browning in back-to-back weeks, I'm going to have to take a stand with Lamar's passing yards because this number is low as hell. The number is around 215, which is insanely low. And I do think that Lamar can find openings against this pass defense. So for me, I'm going to go with Lamar alt passing yards. I see 250 at plus 205. I'll take that. I think Lamar might break 300. But 250 against a pass defense that's this bad, that's good enough for me for value. Give me Lamar passing yards.
All right. I like it. I like it. So, let's see here. What do we want to do for this lineup? Lamar passing yards, book it. We can we could put Debo in there too.
What's the lines on Debo?
Let's see.
I got to imagine it's going to be somewhere in the maybe 70s.
Oh yeah, for sure. Hold on. My app froze.
I'm assuming.
It's telling me to update. Okay, it's 58.5.
58.5. Yeah, I'll take the over on that.
All right, so we got Debo 58.5. We got Lamar passing yards, and
you want Hal passing yards for the jokes because either they get killed or they're competitive, but they have to throw the ball.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay,
book it. He's still like, I think he's like second or third in passing. I think he's like second or third in passing still. Yeah. Let me see. Where's his where's his passing numbers? Oh yeah, the attempts are absolutely crazy. But let's see. Sam Howell is actually first in attempts in the NFL, and he is fifth in passing yards.
Which doesn't even make any sense because Robinson's actually good as a running back, but they just don't give him the damn ball. They really just want Howell to get all his passing yards. So I like the Howell passing yards in this game.
Ooh,
do you have the number on that Howell prop?
Let me see. We got.
He might go for 300 in this game. So
I'm going to the very conveniently placed search bar to just type in his name rather than scrolling all these players. And Sam Howell's at 269.5.
Yeah, we'll go higher on that.
Yep. All right. There you go. Sam Howell passing more. We have Debo Samuel receiving more. We have Lamar Jackson passing more. 5-1. Great payout. Make sure you tap in. Other than that, Scott, anything else for people before we get up out of here?
No, not really. Looking forward to the games on the late window for Sunday and for Sunday night. Besides that, of course, we have the NBA show tomorrow morning. So check in with us there.
All right. And for the one person watching the stream, make sure you like the video on the way out. And for everybody that's listening after the fact, wherever you get your podcast, make sure you leave us a 5-star rating or review. Other than that, I have nothing else to say, nothing else to do. No other way of ending the podcast. Just going to end it like this. We are out of here.